Good morning, gardeners, and welcome to Wednesday, June 7th. My name is Catherine, and I created a show called Good Morning Gardeners, even though I can't grow green things because I'm referring to gardening metaphorically. We're planting the seeds for a better day. We are starting our day by getting in the right mindset to cultivate a better life for ourselves, better communities, and a better world. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to add Good Morning Gardeners to your morning routine. I do my best to wake you up with positive and mentally stimulating ideas, but sometimes I miss things. If you have something to add to the ideas I discuss, please chime in the comments section below. Today is World Food Safety Day. Access to sufficient amounts of food that is safe is key to sustaining life and promoting good health. Foodborne illnesses are usually infectious or toxic in nature and often invisible to the plain eye, caused by bacteria, viruses, parasites, or chemical substances entering the body through contaminated food or water. Food safety has a critical role in assuring that food stays safe at every stage of the food chain, from production to harvest, processing, storage, distribution, all the way to preparation and consumption. World Food Safety Day aims to draw attention and inspire action to help prevent, detect, and manage foodborne risks, contributing to food security, human health, economic prosperity, agriculture, market access, tourism, and sustainable development. The day is an opportunity to strengthen efforts to ensure that the food we eat is safe, mainstream food safety in the public agenda, and reduce the burden of foodborne illness diseases globally. So, this morning I am once again suffering with allergies, and one symptom of allergies that nobody talks about is brain fog, because I feel like I guess with all of this itchiness and congestion, I'm just maybe overstimulated to the point where it's hard for me to think about other things. So this morning when I was attempting to think of what I was going to speak with you about today, gardeners, I kind of just decided to fall back on the International Day and see where that led. And as you just heard, it is World Food Safety Day, and thinking about food, I tend to think about disordered eating because I don't talk about it often, but I have struggled with disordered eating habits for as long as I can remember, and I just think it's interesting in a negative way. It is fascinating, although also disturbing, how complex the topic of eating has become in our world, because the way that I see it now, eating is a natural process. It should be as simple and as easy and uncomplicated as sleeping or maybe even breathing. I don't know, maybe breathing is unconscious, but maybe not quite that simple, but it should be close to that simple, maybe as simple as walking or running, So today I am going to read to you a little bit from a book about intuitive eating. It's not just a book about intuitive eating, it is the book on intuitive eating. Yes, of course, I own this book if I have struggled with disordered eating for as long as I can remember. But actually, I want to be honest with you, I haven't finished this yet. I purchased this book in 2020, and I began reading it and actually going through the workbook as well, but I had to stop because it was, at that time in my life, too difficult for me. Now, I have come a really long way when it comes to intuitive eating, which I know is like a crazy thing to say, but I probably should restart this, but now at this point in my life, I have such a huge stack of books that I'm really excited to read that this one, has kind of once again stayed on the back burner. So I haven't finished it yet. I think I am about 30% of the way through it, maybe 40%. But anyway, today I am going to read from a section of this book called The Dieting Paradox. All right, it reads, in our society, the pursuit of thinness has become the battle cry of diet culture, under the sneaky guise of health and wellness. Eating a single morsel of any high carbohydrate or so-called unhealthy food is punishable by a life sentence of guilt by association. You may be paroled, however, for good behavior. Good behavior in our society means starting a new diet or having good intentions to diet, and so begins the deprivation cycle of dieting, the battle of deprive and indulge. Rice cakes one week, Haagen-Dazs the next. Haagen-Dazs, the ice cream brand, the next. I feel guilty just letting the grocery store clerk see what I buy, lamented one of our clients, who happened to have her cart stocked with fruit, vegetables, whole grains, pasta, and a small pint of real ice cream. It's as if we live in a food police state run by the food mafia, and there always seems to be a dieting offer you can't refuse. Exaggeration? No. There's a good reason for this perception. It's a confluence of factors. First, the medicalization and the politics of body weight. Up until the early 2000s, the pursuit of shrinking your body was primarily in the purview of the beauty and fitness industries, but that changed with these key political events. In 2002, President Bush proclaimed the war on fat, resulting in what Sonia Renee Taylor calls body terrorism in her excellent book, The Body is Not an Apology. In 2010, Michelle Obama launched a campaign to solve the epidemic of childhood obesity, which ushered in a new form of parental guilt. In 2013, the American Medical Association voted against its own scientific committee to declare that obesity is a disease, in spite of the fact that there was not enough evidence to support this assertion. Suddenly, body size alone became a disease, based on a popular vote and the financial incentives to be reimbursed for weight loss prescriptions, not science. One of the strongest predictors of weight gain is dieting, regardless of the actual body weight of the dieter. This is according to a 2018 study. This is a profound irony, given the medicalization of the pursuit of weight loss. Yet, if dieting were held to the same standards as prescription drugs, it would fail miserably, and it wouldn't even be approved for use in the first place. There is a body of research that shows that food restriction for the purpose of weight loss is not effective in the long run, not sustainable, and moreover, causes harm, even if it is prescribed by a physician or dietitian. In spite of this research, weight loss continues to be prescribed. This is a modern-day Semmelweis reflex, which is the rejection of new evidence because it contradicts established norms, beliefs, or paradigms. This cultural reflex is named after the physician who discovered that patients' lives could be saved if doctors washed their hands. But Dr. Semmelweis was summarily dismissed and scoffed at by his medical colleagues for his preposterous idea. He was later proven right after his death. Consequently, by framing obesity as a disease and epidemic, it legitimized the pursuit of thinness in the beauty, dieting, and fitness industries. Suddenly, losing weight was a health and moral imperative, but the pursuit of weight loss in the name of health perpetuates weight stigma and weight cycling, increases the risk of eating disorders, and harms a person's relationship with food, mind, and body. Now, add in the popular media, which amplifies these messages with their uncritical reporting of flawed studies. Factor in social media, with its influencers and advertising. It's a giant mess. Here's a quick look. Advertisements. A study published in Eating Disorders, the Journal of Treatment and Prevention, in 1993, found that between 1973 and 1991, commercials for dieting aids, including diet food, reducing aids, and diet program foods, increased nearly linearly. Given the growth of the dieting industry, this number has surely increased several-fold. In the United States alone, nearly half of Americans were dieting, according to a 2018 study. The researchers also noted a parallel trend in the occurrence of eating disorders. They speculated that the media pressure to diet via commercials is a major influence on the eating disorder trend. Before cigarette ads were banned in the United States, subtle billboards aimed at women had slenderizing names, such as Ultra Slim 100 and Virginia Slims. An ad for Kent Slim Lights cigarettes reads more like a commercial for a weight loss center than for a cigarette, by highlighting slender descriptions like long, lean, and light. It is no surprise that the Center for Disease Control attributed an increase in smoking by women to their desire to be thinner. Sadly, we have heard women contemplate in our offices that they too have considered taking up smoking or vaping as well, or as a weight loss aid. Media. Magazine articles, social media, and movies also drive body dissatisfaction and the pressure to be slim. According to Beauty Redefined, a nonprofit devoted to promoting positive body image, the representations of women's bodies across all media have shrunk dramatically in the last 30 years. But weight loss and body shape is not just a women's issue. Although there's clearly added pressure on women, the proliferation of light beer commercials has planted the seed of body consciousness in men's mind as well. A lean belly is better than a beer belly. It is no coincidence that in the late 80s, we saw the launch of magazines aimed at men, such as Men's Fitness and Men's Health. While the pursuit of leanness has crossed over the gender barrier, sadly, we have given birth to the first generation of Weight Watchers. A disturbing dieting trend is affecting the health of U.S. children. Shocking studies have demonstrated that school-age children are obsessed about their weight, a reflection of a nation obsessed with diet and weight. Around the country, children as young as 6 years old are shedding pounds, afraid of being fat and increasingly being treated for eating disorders that threaten their health and growth. Societal pressures to be thin has backfired on children. In fact, in 2019, Weight Watchers introduced an app for children as young as age 7 with before and after pictures called Curbo, which was decried by health professionals and eating disorder organizations. Dieting not only does not work, it, along with weight stigma, is at the root of many problems. While many people diet as an attempt to lose weight or for health reasons, the paradox is that it may actually cause more harm than good. Here is what our nation has to show for dieting and weight stigma. Body weights are higher than ever in adults and children. The weight rebounds from weight cycling expose more people than ever to weight stigma. Eating disorders are on the rise. The prevalence of eating disorders has more than doubled from the 2000 to 2006 period to the 2013 to 2018 period, from 3.5% to nearly 8%. This was according to a 2019 study. Finally, more than 1,200 tons of fat were liposuctioned between 1982 and 1992. A more recent study showed that only 1 year after having a liposuction procedure, the fat returns, but to a different part of the body. Liposuction is the most frequently performed cosmetic surgery procedure in Western countries, and that is according to a 2017 study. So, the first edition of this book was published in 1995, and the section that I read from today is from the 4th edition, which was updated in 2020. I do feel that the picture the authors paint here is slightly off because in 2023, I think most people feel more pressures about their physical appearance than simply the pressure to be thin. Personally, I feel a pressure to be absolutely perfect, meaning having the perfect body proportions. For example, I know that many people receive criticism for being too thin, and no one wants to have the dreaded flat butt. Body acceptance has become more prevalent in recent years, but it's almost like this narrowed the window of acceptable bodies. But the question I want to leave you with today is, who makes these rules? Who decides which body is acceptable and which body is unacceptable? Who declares which body is healthy and which body is unhealthy, especially when they are simply looking at it or weighing it? And how much of these guidelines have been deliberately cultivated by industries which stand to profit from our insecurities? For our feel-good moment today, I am going to read to you from This One Wild and Precious Life by Sarah Wilson, the Australian author, and we are going to be looking at a chapter called Get Wild. This chapter actually starts off with a poem by Rumi. The poem says, "We must become ignorant of what we have been taught, and instead be bewildered. Run from what is profitable and comfortable. Distrust anyone who praises you. Give your investment money and the interest on the capital to those who are actually destitute. Forget safety. Live where you fear to live. Destroy your reputation. Be notorious. And Sarah goes on to write, I'm sitting on my balcony, watching a wild tropic storm roll in. The night sky is lit with violent veins of lightning. There's an eerie silence. The birds have retreated. Breath is held. And then suddenly, the earth exhales. The magnolias and Mariah dump their waxy scent into the night as the barometric pressure drops. The earth seems to open up, ready to receive the rain. The smell of its organic underbelly is the smell I associate with rain, peaty and sweaty. Excitement builds and builds. The lightning is now frantic, and then finally, crack! Violent tropical thunder erupts. She's here. A few heavy drops of rain fall. The pressure is too much, and voom, down she comes. Within seconds, the winds arrive, ripping roofs off houses. The next morning, there are trees washed up on the beach. I run inside, shut down all the windows, and watch the carnage from my lounge. It's been a summer of wild weather, a summer trapped indoors. This was the summer of the hottest days on record, the worst drought in 800 years, bushfires that left the air quality 26 times above levels considered hazardous to human health, equivalent to smoking over a packet of cigarettes a day. The rest of the world looked on and saw my country as a portent. The way I saw it, nature is angry. She's royally pissed off. Not that I need to anthropomorphize the weather to make this point. As economist and former senior scientist at the U.S. Natural Resources Defense Council Rob Watson says, Mother Nature is just chemistry, biology, and physics. The wildness and destruction we're seeing is the chemistry, biology, and physics out of whack. The intricately interconnected equilibrium of everything has been thrown, and it's expressing outward wildly. As per the planet and life on it, the equilibrium of our human interconnection is also thrown. We can't forget that we are nature, the sum result of chemistry, biology, and physics. Timothy Morton, he who brought us the term hyperobjects, argues that the unwieldy enormity of the climate crisis has made humans realize this. All the human mastery of science won't tame it, fix it, keep it separate from us. The reality of the Anthropocene period is that it has forced us to wake up to the fact that we have never stood apart from nature. We are of it. We are it, and we can't throw out, say, a disposable coffee cup without it coming back to bite us in the ass, washing up on the beach while we sunbake. And so it is entirely fitting, I think, that we join nature and get wholly wild, too. So after this, Sarah goes on to describe her hike in the Jordan desert when she discovered the question, does this choice enlarge or diminish, as a guideline for making choices. I've read this section to you on the show before, so today I am going to skip a little bit ahead and read one additional short section here. Sarah writes, we have denied our outrage and let our wildness be concreted over. Technology has kept us small. We don't trust our bewilderment. We have been busy being good little citizens and obeying rules. Oh boy. And then, understandably, we believed the rules were good, and that they'd grant us freedom and preserve our individual rights. We even self-regulated the rules with virtue signaling, humble bragging, competitive parenting, and the micromanagement of young people, such that they had no time to question the patriarchy or to express the frustrations of their generation through song or art. Besides, it would interfere with their grades. My brother Pete said during a visit with my nephew and niece, yeah, and all that getting ahead business. You don't have time to question anything if you're flat out getting ahead. Pete has always had a knack for seeing things from deep slants. Then he says, Sarah, what a horrible concept, getting ahead. What are you getting ahead of? It's the people around you, neighbors and friends, and at their expense. My goodness, yes. But our wildness is not lost. No, it is not such a distant memory for some of us reading this either. So, for our focus moment today, I want to invite you, optionally, to become outraged. Now, like I said, this is optional, and I do strive to provide positivity for you every morning, but in some contexts, especially this one, I think the feeling of outrage is a positive feeling. If it feels right for you today, and if it's applicable to you, think of one rule that you have for your eating habits and your body that did not come from your own intuition. Recall one judgment another person made of your body or food consumption that actually affected the way that you nourish yourself. And get angry, because no one has any right to dictate what you eat besides yourself. I believe that as humans, we are natural creatures, just like the food we eat is produced by nature. Therefore, humans and food should be able to coexist peacefully without all these unnecessary complications. For me, getting angry sometimes helps me tap into my own intuition and really connect with this concept. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I will speak with you again tomorrow.